Hi, I am Ganapathy Venugopal. People call me VG. I am founder and CEO of Axilor Ventures. Axilor Ventures is one of the largest platforms in the country to support early stage startups. We do it through two of our flagship programs. One is the accelerator program, where we run the largest cohort-based accelerator program in the country. We work with startups across 5 sectors: consumer, enterprise, deep tech, health tech, and fintech. And we are also one of the top 3 seed investors in India. This question has different answers depending on the stage of the investor, but being a seed investor, I will possibly try to answer it from the perspective of a seed investor. So what do you look for in a company? Obviously, seed investors are looking for companies that go after large opportunities and with teams that demonstrate that they are the ones who can possibly capture that opportunity. And third, most importantly, it's a company that should have a fairly good prospect in terms of being able to scale the business and successfully raise subsequent rounds of funding. My first take would be that maybe the VCs will make an exception for Axilor, because we consistently see a lot of our companies, at least 70% of our companies, go on to raise their next round of funding from the later stage investors. On your earlier question about how should accelerators measure success, right? There are 3 things that we need to look at. First of all, who's the customer? If you take customer here as the startup, accelerators need to measure their success in terms of whether they have been able to deliver successful outcomes for their customers, which in this case will be startups, right? And there are 3 outcomes that are important for startups. Number 1, they need to see acceleration. They need to get funded, at least something that gives them a capital runway for the next 12 to 15 months. And they need to have template for a scalable business, right? Most accelerators should ask themselves how consistently they have been able to deliver these 3 outcomes for every startup going through that program. Number 1. Number 2, even if they are not able to deliver these outcomes, most of them should at least measure the net promoter score in terms of what the founders think about the program. And third, one of the important value that accelerators bring in is to be able to create a high quality early stage pipeline for the VCs and the seed funds. So what percentage of the early stage pipeline they have been able to generate will be one other metric. If most accelerators were to measure themselves against these 3 aspects and get some verifiable data around this, they will have their answers clear in terms of whether they are faring well and why they are not faring well. Sudden shift in the business model is primarily because there hasn't been much success in that model, right? If the companies coming out of the accelerator do well, then the equity value of their stake in those startups will definitely pay for the program cost, right? Because that is not happening, then there is a temptation to move away from that. But I think that is a suboptimal approach, because you still have to solve for the problem of creating successful startups, right? If you are not able to predictably deliver these kind of outcomes for startups, then the product, the accelerator program as a product, is not working, right? I think that is the important problem to solve for.